What I would say, Anna, looking at some of the reaction that you're seeing across news websites around the world from IT specialists. I mean, we were chatting about half an hour ago, and I was reminding viewers about the so-called Millennium Bug, Y2K bug, as was called at the time. And obviously, it was a huge beanfest for the IT support services industry at the time. IT consultants made out like bandits, advising companies around the world about how to prevent themselves against this bug. And of course, it didn't come to pass. And as I said, there was no counterfactual. We didn't really know whether there would have been a catastrophe because most companies invested very heavily to prevent that outcome. But there seems to be a body of opinion now among IT specialists that this is the kind of thing that we would have seen potentially around Y2K. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is right now the biggest IT outage of all time. I think this is going to be a very, very big moment in history. I don't think it's an over-exaggeration. Bear in mind what I was saying to you earlier. CrowdStrike, one of the key providers of endpoint protection, as it's known in the industry, it has a 24% market share. It's very, very closely linked to Microsoft, the world's biggest IT services company, and accordingly, this is very, very widespread indeed. I don't think you can exaggerate that. I think it's this is the most serious IT outage the world has ever seen thus far.
As most of you all were tucked away in your cozy, snuggy little beds this morning at around 3 a.m., the entire world came to a complete standstill. Flights all around the world got grounded. Subway stations, subway trains all around the world got halted. Public transportation got stopped in major cities around the world. Banks got shut down. People were not able to check out at department stores because their credit cards would not work, and more. It was complete panic in other countries around the world while most of America was asleep. But I wasn't asleep. I was over on X or Twitter updating you all about this news at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you ask me, my lack of sleep definitely deserves a follow. So go follow me over there on X or Twitter so you can be updated when crazy stuff like this happens. And I don't discriminate. I report on news from everywhere. So there's no telling when something crazy might go down in your town that you need more info about, and you might need it fast. So go follow me over on my Twitter account or X, whatever you want to call it. But I was up around 3:30 in the morning trying to order something from Amazon, and my order just wouldn't go through for anything. And it was so frustrating. And I was looking, trying to get to the bottom of what was going on, and then I saw the news and was like, oh. Here I am upset that my package isn't going to be here when I wake up in the morning. Meanwhile, the entire world is shut down because we were suffering from the biggest IT outage, the biggest cyber outage in the history of the world. Now, I don't know about you all, but it's getting tiring living through these historical events. Can we get a chance to breathe? You know, can we get a week between major historical events? That's all I ask. I need some time to recoup. But of course, they're not going to give us any time. But here I was, frustrated about my Amazon package. Meanwhile, people all around the world are stuck in airports, stuck in hotel rooms. They can't go anywhere. A lot of people can't even go to work. There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. And in that moment, it really sunk in. How good we got it. How convenient things are right now. I go on Amazon, I press 2 buttons, and my package is there like 8 hours later. And in moments like this, you know, it shows you how quickly the things we take for granted could be snatched away from us. We live in an age of convenience where things are just dropped at your front door. But things weren't always that way. And all it takes is for one small little thing to go wrong, for life as we know it to come to a standstill like it did for many earlier today. Now, when I saw all of this going down, immediately I thought it was a cyber attack. And if you've been subbed to my channel long enough, you know I've been warning you all about these type of events for like 3 years now. So it's not a surprise that this happened. And look at the timing of it as well. We'll get into that a little bit more later for sure. But initially, I thought it was a cyber attack. But it turns out a company by the name of CrowdStrike is at the center of this issue. And from what they're claiming, this was not a cyber attack. No, CrowdStrike, who specializes in cybersecurity, they were doing an update that caused all of this chaos to happen. I'm no expert on this stuff, but from what the experts say, this is what they predicted was going to happen on Y2K. Something like this. Now, if you were alive for the year 2000, you know that they warned that, the computer systems around the world were going to shut down and everything was going to go crazy. The stock market was going to crash. Basically everything they warned us about with Y2K is what is happening right now as we speak. And that's kind of scary. I believe the direct quote was, "This is like Y2K, but if Y2K actually happened." So we are experiencing Y2K. It's just that it happened 24 years later than we thought. But I'm going to go ahead and roll this news clip. Let's learn a little bit more, and then I'll be right back with some more thoughts of my own.
Nieves in New York City, where Alicia, you say 911 systems are down. What do we know right now?
Yeah, Anna, around 5 o'clock this morning, I was able to get a hold of the NYPD through a press line. And when I got a hold of an officer, I asked her immediately, is 911 functioning here in the city? And she said, no, it was completely down at that time. The next follow-up question, right, is how do people get a hold of authorities if they're having a bona fide emergency in one of the biggest cities in the country right now? And she paused, had nothing to really answer and respond with that. We found out, though, over the last couple of minutes that 911 systems, at least in some part, are functioning at their basic levels. We don't know how long that'll last or if that'll ramp up to full capacity. Again, this is the largest city in the country that's having this issue right now. We are being told that firefighters and police officers, they are getting dispatched when they are notified of emergency, whether it's people going directly to a precinct or actually being able to get through 911. But they're having to do everything old school over radios. They cannot use their computer systems. They can't use most of the basic functions and infrastructure they normally rely on. I will tell you again, back at that call that I had with the 911 call center, you could hear as soon as the phone was picked up, the scattering and a bit of the chaos going on behind the scenes to try and get everything up and running this morning, again, in the biggest city in the country. Now, this is not the only city, obviously, dealing with 911 issues. Around the country, because of this IT worldwide outage that we're seeing 911 centers be affected there. Other major cities include Minneapolis, Seattle, Atlanta. We're constantly updating and trying to find out more cities that are dealing with these issues and the workarounds being had, right? Again, we know here in New York City, there's some functionality. We're not fully sure exactly the full functionality. And of course, we know that officers are trying to go back to old school ways to at least respond to some calls. From the 911 call centers, though, to hospitals. We're in front of Mount Sinai Hospital, one of the biggest hospitals in the city right now. We've been trying all morning to get a hold of these hospitals to find out, are they able to fully function properly, right? A lot of these hospitals run on Microsoft software and a lot of the software that's being affected right now. We have not got a response from most of the hospitals. However, a source at one hospital here in New York City, a physician tells me that at that specific hospital, they are able to function right now. Unclear if they have not been hit yet by this, if they have a different software, but at least one hospital in New York City not having an issue responding to patients. We're going to continue to obviously follow this story, happening all over the country, but here in New York, the biggest city, having issues with people getting a hold of emergency responders and possibly being able to access full services at hospitals, Anna.
That's right. So if you're just waking up with us, global outage hitting 911, airlines, banks, and more. We're covering it all for you. Alicia, thank you so much.
Now, of course, I couldn't talk about all of this without pointing out how downright suspicious all of this is. Like I said earlier, look at the timing of things. I always tell you, pay attention to the timing of things. It's very odd that just a few days ago, they tried to kill Trump, and now here we are suffering the biggest cyber outage the world has ever seen. It appears to me that there are forces at play that are doing whatever they can to disrupt. They are trying to disrupt. They are trying to cause chaos. They are losing. They are no longer on the winning team. The tides are turning. They're getting desperate. And just like I told people over on X, look at everything they've tried. They have tried just about everything. Now, last-ditch effort, what they're going to do is they're going to try to tank this country. I don't think that it's just a big coincidence that a few days after a failed assassination attempt, all of a sudden we got all of these cyber issues. And these cyber issues are going on all around the world, but oddly enough, over in Russia, everything looks fine. Everything is going A-OK over in Russia. I wonder why. And it makes you ask the question, could this have been some type of cyber attack? Because at the end of the day, we'll never know. They can throw whatever explanation they want to throw at us, and half of us won't even understand what they're talking about anyway, to be completely honest. But we are in a weakened state right now, and I'm worried about our enemies trying to take advantage of where we're at right now in this country. You know, because I feel like America looks very vulnerable to our enemies. You know, if you were America's enemies and you were sitting back waiting on a chance to do something and you saw everything that transpired, a few days ago, now would be the time. But it's just as I predicted. It's just as all of us knew. 2024 is going to be absolutely insane. Balls to the wall crazy. And it has not been a letdown yet. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Were you affected by this outage? Are you still being affected by this outage? Let us know down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.